from the public, not how many clones that should.
I know. Those lemon bars are to die for.
Call the Bryan County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions to the agenda or changes?
I don't have any. Oh,
Yes, you do.
well, we'll deal with it in the claims.
Okay. And then I have one, Kim is here from the Y asking for support, or a letter for support for the Salt Creek Trail.
Correct.
Okay, so I'll add that to the agenda. All right. Approval of minutes and claims.
I need to, make a motion that we approve the minutes and claims with an addition. There was a claim that was submitted by Andy Alexander for asking for a processing for support for a veteran in the community that needs some help. So that, motion is to approve the claims and minutes plus add this claim.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Ron,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes. Don't lose this. I don't want to deal with me.
Our first item is the appointment to the Hamilton Fire District Board, Mr. Terry Wittes. Kevin and I talked to Terry, he's a 30-year plus firefighter, emergency services, battalion chief in Bartholomew County. So a great find, super that he's volunteering to help out on the board. So we talked to both him and the board chair, Tom Williams. So I take a nomination for Terry.
I make a motion that we nominate Terry Wittes to the Hamlin Fire District Board.
That's fine, yes. Second.
Okay, roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
All right. On the admin agreement for the music center, Kevin, I'd like to move that after the prosecutor's office, give you a chance to brief that one.
Sure. Okay, so the prosecutor's office, I know has been mentioned, brought up here. One of the final steps that we're going to take is going back to the council work session and explain the options that are being considered. That we've had a meeting already with the other parties that are involved, the sheriff, the prosecutor, the judge, and I think some staff from the actual prosecutor's office on three proposals that were made. Those same proposals are going to be presented to the council working session tomorrow between 9 and noon. And the conversation will be not only on what those proposals were, but they also, the resolution that we passed that authorizes the county to proceed forward with a new delivery method of build, operate, transfer. So that's kind of what's going on. I don't know when that actually fits in their agenda. I haven't seen it, but I asked to be put on their agenda for that topic.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, on the music center admin agreement, first reading of proposed resolution and amendment for the excess revenue distribution. The resolution number is 2026-04-01-0001, titled Resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the County of Brown, Indiana, approving a second amendment to administration agreement relating to the Music Venue and Performing Arts Center project. So I'll read that into the record as a first reading. Typically on any resolution, we require at least more than just the first reading. Additional meetings is needed. I've got a short statement, a couple of minutes on the topic. Maybe head off some of the concerns or questions people may have. The intent of the proposed resolution and amendment is to offer citizens a voice on how they would like to see the excess revenue from the music center be distributed and by whom. The proposed resolution and amendment identifies that 100% of the excess revenue from the music center be returned to the county that could help fund public safety and other infrastructure costs such as bridges and roads. The resolution directs the president of the Board of Commissioners to, quote, discuss and negotiate with agreement parties to effectuate an agreement on the approval of the second amendment to the administrative agreement by the agreement parties. In addition to the commissioners, these parties include the Music Center Management Board, the Convention Visitors Commission, and the Building Board. Regarding county funding needs, for instance, the sheriff has identified a critical need to increase salaries and benefits to mitigate the turnover of staff that are leaving the county for more money. Additional compensation has been estimated to have a positive return on investment through savings on the cost of training a new deputy. Turnover also results in less experienced personnel on the roads. Another example for needed funds is provided by the draft bridge report that we just received on the status of our 84 bridges, which identifies the following. Replacement of eight bridges at an estimated cost of $8,360,000. Rehabilitation of another 27, estimated cost at $9,670,000. And number of posted bridges with weight limits that identified a degraded capability is a total of 38. Overall, on county finances, trends over the last few years identifies that the county does spend less than we received in revenue, and we continue to work to identify efficiencies in systems, processes, and internal controls. To support offering citizens a voice on the distribution, there are 4 council seats and 1 commissioner seat on the 2026 ballot. This provides an opportunity to learn about the position of the candidates on the issues. Additional commissioner meetings can provide additional opportunities for community feedback. 2 or 3 commissioners can approve the resolution, but as mentioned, final approval requires a majority vote from the Music Center Board, the Convention Visitors Commission, and the Building Corp, e.g. the agreement parties. So in addition to input from citizens, there are additional checks and balances on changes. The Commissioners previously proposed a 50-50 distribution, which was not approved by the Music Center Management Board. The county received a $65,000 payment, up from $55,000 in lieu of taxes, along with 25% of the excess revenue. The property tax for property-owned venue may be closer to $98,000. The Community Foundation does not support any changes to the agreement. Although they are not a signatory on the admin agreement, in October 2025, 6 of the 7 county council members, when polled, supported the current agreement, and 1 councilman, Scott Rudd, did not commit one way or the other. The commissioners can create a new agreement that would require renegotiation of all contracts. The council would need to approve any refinancing and funding changes. On the background, the Music Center is a county asset. Revenue from the innkeeper's tax was pledged as collateral for the $12.5 million loan. Taxpayers assume the associated risks. As a result of the economic downturn due to COVID, the federal taxpayers contributed $2.7 million subsidy, and county taxpayers another $239,000. The admin's agreement states that if permitted by law, the management group may contribute 75% of the excess revenue to the foundation with 25% to the county. The amendment removes the legal ambiguity and distributes the funds to the county that can be used for public safety and infrastructure such as bridges and roads. In 2025, the state updated the statutes regarding contracts. Changes were made that required commissioners to review and or approve all new contracts. The admin agreement is an existing contract, but if it was proposed today, it is unlikely that the ambiguity in language would be acceptable. In 2025, the innkeeper's tax was raised from 5 to 8% with the expectation that funds could be used for public safety and other related infrastructure costs. The legislature did not approve the use of the funds for public safety related expenditures. However, other counties have updated their innkeeper's tax statutes to allow use of funds to include categories such as quality of life that could include funding for public safety. The proposed resolution is a first reading, and given the complexity of issues, passionate perspectives from many sides, additional public meetings on the topic will be conducted. So, discussion on the board.
Is there any way we can get the public first before on the board?
I don't have a problem with that.
What do you mean get public?
Just
You mean
basically
now?
in bodies in the audience with no comments on all
Okay,
that.
yeah, we'll open up for comments. Yeah, just state your name.
Yeah, my name is Bruce Gould. I'm a member of the Music Center Board. First off, I'd like to request that you table this resolution till your next meeting. We were actually, the commissioners refused to provide a copy of this resolution to the Music Center until this very meeting, 10 minutes ago. We've had zero time to review it and consider it. We would probably like to discuss it with legal counsel ourselves and see what the implications are. But I think there's really no hurry on this, and I think to table it, let us have a chance to discuss it ourselves and and then proceed from there, we would certainly prefer to do that. There are a couple things that you read in your statement that were incorrect. One, in the, what you call in the resolution, agreement parties, I'm assuming that would be, you listed the Maple Leaf Management Group, the Maple Leaf Building Corporation, commissioners, county council. It also includes the bank. The bank's on that list too. So are you in agreement that all those parties then are what you would call the agreement parties?
Our attorneys prepared the resolution and the amendment. The signature pages are on the amendment. So if you want to look at that, Exhibit A was the amendment.
I don't believe it includes the bank.
It does not.
Was the bank an original signatory?
Yes.
Well, the bank was part of our operating agreement.
So we can run that by, check with our attorneys.
So you're in agreement then that they would be part of the,
I'm in agreement that our attorneys will look at it, yeah.
and I believe in our original operating agreement, this can only be changed if all of the parties agree, and you said a majority of the parties. So I believe the original agreement says that all of the parties have to agree, not just a majority.
I think he was speaking to the majority on the boards, or the actual agencies. Maybe that's some clarification.
Okay.
Well, that needs some clarification too. But see, already now, we've got several things that need to be clarified. Like I said, I think it'd be wise at this point to just table this and let us take a look at it ourselves. We may want to have council look at it too before we proceed with anything, even a first reading. So I think that would be a wise thing to do, especially considering there is complete lack of transparency here in getting us a copy of this. I mean, we're the party involved here, and we were not allowed to even look at the document until now. So we need some time to review this. Thank you.
Now, to answer your thing on the tabling, on the first reading, we always table our first reading. So that's been standard operating procedure for the past year on that. And so we wouldn't take a vote. If we were to take a vote, it would be at the second meeting on the 15th, but there's no mandate that we have to vote at second one. We can have more meetings.
Well,
So
I guess
we'll
my
do what's
point
needed.
was, you don't even need to have a first reading for this.
Pardon me?
You don't even need to have a first reading if you don't want to. And I'm asking you to not even have the first reading. Just table the whole
Did you not
thing,
just do the first
let us
reading?
look at it.
Yeah, just do the first reading.
That's what I thought.
That's right. We haven't voted on it yet. You want to
Correct.
ask for public input?
Correct.
Which we did. All right, anybody else?
John Elliott, I'm the board chair of the Brown County Community Foundation, and I obviously did not have any prepared remarks. This was a bit of a surprise for us, although this is the 9th time I've addressed the topic to the county office, so to some extent rehearsed. I want to clarify a couple of things. We have never attended a CVC or Maple Leaf Management Group meeting to ask for any resources. We don't take them for granted, we don't expect them, and in practical terms, just as would apply for the county, we don't know what excess revenues there will be, which come after financial audits in the following year. So there's no way, even if we wanted to count on a certain amount of money, we can't. We don't know what it will be. Could be zero. So we don't take it for granted, we don't expect it, and frankly, it's deeply appreciated, and as we see the impact of the Music Center in this county, in this community, we're deeply appreciative. They've had an incredible positive impact. They run ahead of business plan, they run ahead of financial measures. It is a well-run, highly effective organization. We also don't quite understand the sort of aggressive persistence to divert the funds. And it's not a problem-solving amount of funds measured against the county budget. So I would correct you when you said the foundation doesn't agree to the split. We haven't voted, we haven't decided, we don't take it for granted. Whatever they choose to give is appreciated by us just as it would be from any other donor. So we're not off. We know we're not a signatory party. We're not presuming a role that we don't have. We're simply appreciative recipients. And I would also say, I feel like we've been trustworthy and ethical and frankly highly effective temporary stewards of those funds. A portion goes into long-term endowment, but most of it goes to grants. And in fact, when you have your next meeting, we will be meeting as a grant committee, deciding on distribution of those funds and others for the benefit of this community. And if you took a dollar impact from what happens with the more than 100 nonprofits in this county that we try to support, I would challenge you to find a more effective stretching and use of those dollars. Nonprofits in this county do incredible work with little or no resources, and it's a rare county anywhere that has so many volunteers that are guiding and leading those nonprofits. So a dollar given through a grant that temporarily passes through us to those nonprofits is incredibly effective. Something you should be proud of, not necessarily wanting to shrink or diminish in terms of impact. I've also offered several times, post-election and since election, to sit down with you. I know Alice has made the same offer, and share with you more detail about the foundation, what we do, how we do it, and so on. So I will repeat that offer. We'd be happy to sit down and share more information about our works. In terms of scale, I know I've shared this before, but we're here for repetition. About $1.5 million to about $2.25 million a year is our typical distribution from funds, but the overwhelming majority of those are restricted. That gives disproportionate value to unrestricted dollars. The share that comes from the Maple Leaf Management Group that goes to the arts, that's still a broad category, and we can really make a disproportionate difference. The unrestricted share of those dollars, for the agreement that goes to other nonprofits, we don't have those dollars as available as pass-through funds or donor-restricted funds. So disproportionate value, disproportionate impact. I just ask that you consider that.
Yeah, John, my statement on the foundation was you support the current agreement. That's what I said.
We appreciate the current agreement. Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Sherry Mitchell. Excess revenues, so they figured that out for us, right? They still have the $1 million capital fund that would have to be full at all times before excess revenue, is that correct?
Yeah, that's still an agreement.
Okay, so they would still have to have that $1 million. I'm concerned about them not having money for whatever they need it for, so that we're not writing them checks anymore. Would they have access then to the money that's in the, what do you call it, community something or another, the other 3%?
From
The
the
other
innkeeper's
3% on
tax?
the innkeeper's tax, what do you call it?
No, that's restricted by statute.
I understand that. But they would still have access to that 3%.
Not the music.
Are you talking about the quality of life committee that meets to figure out
Yes. Yes.
how to use that 3%?
Yes, so if they had to have it, they could go get it because it all goes into the CVC budget, correct?
Let me clarify something here. The Quality of Life Board is an advisory board. It has no authority over dictating where funds go. Those funds are all controlled by the CDC board and the county council. So any work that's being done by the Quality of Life is simply in an advisory position to help the CDC board, as I mentioned in our last meeting, to dictate and put things in place for here's how things can come about and happen. So I know the CDC is looking at and working with the Quality of Life Board on, is there a grant process that needs to be done? Because that's what's being considered, if I'm not mistaken. And
But they could use that money to fund COVID again, if it happened, and the money was sitting in the CVC account, instead of coming to us for $250,000 to pay for rent under an MOU, they could go and get that 3%. Is that correct?
Let me help clarify I think what Sherry is saying. Kevin Alt, president of the Music Center Board, president of the Convention Visitors Commission. I think what Sherry is asking is, because the innkeeper's tax backs the mortgage on the music center.
Yes.
If for some reason the music center can't pay its mortgage, does the whole 8% go to pay the music center's mortgage? And that would be yes.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't specify a percentage of the innkeeper's tax, it specifies innkeeper's tax.
Thank you, Kevin.
So, and that's.
Okay. That answer your question, Sherry?
Yes, it did.
All right.
Pam Gould. I quite frankly am very disappointed that this has come around again for, what did you say, John, the 9th time? I would like to ask to make a request of the commissioners to come forward in a public way with how much money you have spent on legal expenses to keep trying to ding the Music Center of their original plan to bless our community. That's number one. Number two is you've got to think a little bit bigger picture here. The Music Center is profitable predominantly because it is run by hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of volunteer labor. I cannot imagine that there would be more than a handful of those volunteers that would enjoy being ultimately what could be referred to as unpaid county employees. No longer are they really volunteers, they're working for the county commissioners and the Brown County Council. Most of those volunteers have very altruistic gearing. I would imagine that most of them, if they understand the process at all, are very grateful that the majority of it goes to other volunteer organizations. So just think about that. And to John's point, the amount of time and effort that you have spent on this topic is outrageous for the end result that you're looking for. It is minuscule compared to your budget problems. And as when I was a parent, the worst thing I could do to teach financial management to my children is give them money when they had proven that they didn't know how to manage it. It's the last thing you want to do. You quite frankly have not shown yourselves to be fiscally responsible for a long time, at least as long in the 47 years that I've been here. And the worst way that you can handle what all of a sudden you have benefiting our community in so very many ways is to siphon it off and give it to a fiscally irresponsible organization. Get your act together, and then maybe there'd be something to talk about.
Jim Schultz. Several of my points have already been taken. Number one, how much will this cost? How long are you guys willing to invest in this legally? And then to Pam's point, I see three individuals up here suddenly trying to get this introduced as if it's going to happen soon, blah, blah, blah. But when this came about, and I know, Tim, at least you were involved, there was public meeting after public meeting. There was 100+ people involved. I still have all the paperwork from all of the different groups that were deciding on this and that and this and that. And as that process moved forward, public engagement came together at one point. And that point was when this particular facility benefited the citizens of Brown County and not the government. It wasn't until, and Tim, you said to me when we left that meeting, you said, Jim, that's your headline, 75-25 at that point. And that's
your recollection, Jim, not mine. You said you couldn't trust the county officials to spend the money, and for the current officials at the time, I probably agree with you, but the fix was not to circumvent the process. The fix was to improve the process by electing more effective leaders. That's
okay, I got lost in that, so.
Lost in that is you don't circumvent it. We got a problem with how you think the money is being spent by the county. You fix the county, you don't circumvent it with a 75-25.
Okay, but that's not what brought the public into the point where in the end, we collectively, all the different people and departments voted to allow that to happen. And it came together on the 75-25. I don't want to spend a lot of time up here, so One other thing that it actually made me giggle. You used the word refinance. Oh my God. You know, well, I forget what our number is right now, but it's like 4.1 or 3.75.
Right at 4%.
Right at 4%, okay? And they can only bump it twice in the 32-year expectancy. And each time there's a limit to how much they can bump it, and that limit is 1 point. Cheap money. The COVID money's cheap shot. Everybody got COVID monies. And the fact that the BCMC was used for the health department that entire time, it held, you know, it became that spot that could support the community. And then on updating the innkeeper's tax to switch it, that's a possibility, but good luck with that, because it's been tried multiple times, and every single time it was a waste of money. So I think that's it, unless any of you have a question for me.
Jim, I'll push back on the amount of money meetings. You had public meetings at the Playhouse or meetings at the, I think, one of the apartment complexes. You may have had several throughout the community. There was the only public meeting on the feasibility of this project and support for that project was at the council and commissioner meetings where they voted to approve. If you recall, the League of Women Voters attempted to have a countywide meeting on this thing. It was canceled. It was canceled. And
well,
so
I remember there was a hustle on certain people's part after the location changed, and that's when the problem started, not only, you know, within the community, but in general. So
I don't know, Jim. Julie Wynn was organized after the League of Women Voters. As you know, she's very credible, having community.
I'm sorry, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, so I remember quite well. I've got it documented. The meeting was going to be at the school, and then it was canceled at the last minute. Then it went for the commissioners for a vote, the councils for the vote. Dave
so
Kreitzer,
you're saying that somehow the initial group somehow brought this in without any consideration to the vast majority of the people of Brown County?
I don't think the vast majority of the county realized what was going on or had a chance to input. And when you only have one meeting from the commissioners and council and the only meeting you have was a vote on it, that kind of tells you that.
But there was all the meetings out that were not councilor and commissioner meetings. The public sentiment was in place by that time, so, you know.
Elected officials are representing the votes, Jim, not private entities.
Elected officials were involved in all the rest of the meetings also.
See, and the other issue is when it came to the council, I remember this day, Kreitzer couldn't wait to vote fast enough on this thing, and he said, hey, I just want to know who's for and who's against, and you got 30 seconds. Of course, you know, they allowed a little more than 30 seconds.
Okay, so you didn't like that.
30 seconds. And so when I asked, I told him, I said, I wasn't for or against it. I was kind of ambivalent. I wanted to see a little more due diligence and a little more public meetings on that proposal. It's the largest investment we have in the county, and it deserved more public meetings.
And it turned out to be a success in spite of COVID.
Had more public meetings by the commissioner council than just one.
Okay,
and
we could argue all night, Tim.
I asked too on the feasibility study, and it's probably in the minutes. I asked too if they could take the time to do a feasibility study.
All right, Tim, thank you very much.
The feasibility study would identify that these kind of venues aren't profitable unless you have public support.
See you, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
My name is Jimmy Tilton. I own a hotel in town, so I do contribute to the innkeeper's tax. Questions. You have the Brown County Maple Leaf Building Corporation listed. Is that a non-for-profit corporation?
Please, so yes.
Okay. And so that is the corporation that owns the asset, the building?
Correct.
Okay. So a non-for-profit corporation owns the asset. So what you're asking is for a non-for-profit to give you all the money. What's to stop you from doing a similar resolution for a different non-for-profit? And if they're agreeing to it, then you get the money too. it's just a little interesting that you're asking a non-for-profit corporation to give you all their money.
Jim, I suggest you get a copy of the resolution and the amendment.
Well, I just got this as I walked in the door, so none of us have had time to really read this.
Well, and that's why we table the first reading.
And my question is, have you had any discussion with the Brown County Maple Leaf Building Corporation or the CBC, or any of the other agreement parties in regards to this draft? Or this is your version that you want to pursue?
If you read the resolution, that starts the discussion.
Okay.
But to start the discussion leads to support from the commissioners. If there are, we need 2 out of 3 votes to move this forward.
Sure. And the same thing could apply if one of the other parties wants to present their own draft agreement. It'd be the same process, right? All parties have to agree to it, so it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter where it starts, right? It could start with you, it could start with one of the other parties, but ultimately you'll have to agree, right?
I think according to the agreement, all the parties need to have majorities on this.
I think that's all my questions. Thanks.
One more. I don't remember if I have any paperwork on the building corporation, but I do remember how it was formed. Do they have bylaws? Do you even know who those 3 people are anymore? Who are they?
Sherry, it's on independent voters. I think I've got the list. Robin Bowman's the president of that building corp. I think Mike Laros is the other, and Kevin, you know who's the
Matt
third?
Gray is the third person.
Okay.
And are they appointing themselves?
It's perpetual, yes.
Yeah.
So they're appointing themselves, so you no longer have even a say in that?
Correct.
That is such horse crud. And I don't know if they ever had bylaws. I don't remember if I have them or not, but you might look and see if you have those. Just a thought.
Hi, Dina Patrick. I was a member of the original Maple Leaf Management Group Board, and I am a volunteer there. And there was just a couple things I wanted to bring up. One of the things is Jimmy Tilton brought up the building corporation being a nonprofit asset and owning the asset. Is this working?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that came up at a county council meeting several months ago, which you talked about in your statement, Tim, was how the council felt about this. And I remember Jim Kemp saying something about he did not feel that this is a county asset. I don't know his exact words because I wasn't prepared to speak today. I wasn't prepared for this. But I do remember him talking about this was not a county asset. And I remember him talking about this was such a small drop of in a bucket of water that it wasn't worth worrying about at the time. I also want to talk about a little bit, you bring up multiple times the $2.7 million that we got from the federal government, which was part of the shuttered venue grants. There were $15 billion overall for the United States. And there were other people in Brown County that got that money. Overall, museums were the #1 person that got that money here in our state. And it feels like you're trying to convince people that we stole federal tax dollars. And we didn't. We applied, we qualified, and we got that money. And so it's like, if that money shouldn't have come to us, then why are we getting OCRA monies and OOR monies and Indiana Energy Savings monies? So it's like there's other federal monies we're getting. It's not just for the shuttered venue grant. And I'm a little concerned that election cycles change, officers change. We know there's an election coming up. So you might feel right now this is the best option, but every single time an election comes up and there's new members on the commissioners or the county council, are we going to go through these legal changes time and time again? It feels like that is possible, and it feels like we're throwing away money that maybe we should not be throwing away. So I guess that's what I have to say about that. I am concerned that you bring up that 2.7 million on a regular basis, but we're getting other federal grants. And I don't know, it just feels like this was thrown at us. I know you've been working on it, but it feels like this was thrown at us at the last minute, and none of us had time to absorb this.
You know, the point on the 2.7 million,
Yes, sir.
it's the taxpayers are at risk if the venue is not successful. So I think Dave Chrysler, when they approved that, he goes, well, you know, if this thing doesn't fail, we have an economic downturn, we're never going to use tax money, we'll just turn it back to the bank and the bank can pay property tax. That's what he said. I don't think I'll ever forget that.
I do remember.
And my thing is this, we're not going to do that. If there was this, we have an economic downturn within the next year, 2 years, which some economists kind of predict, taxpayer, we're not going to turn that venue back over to the bank. We're going to find a way of financing it. Okay, are we not? I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't an outcry to say, hey, that's a county asset, we got to do something to fund that thing. And so it's on the taxpayers. Taxpayers need to have a say. I'll get back to the intent. The intent of the proposed resolution and amendment is to offer citizens a voice on how they like to see the excess revenue for the music center be distributed by whom. So if they want to, if the community consensus and the feedback on the elections, or we like just the way it is, that's fine. You give people a voice, let them weigh in and call it done. And I think this will end in that particular discussion.
Yeah, one other point I would like to make is, Mr. Sanders, you are a member of the Maple Leaf Management Board,
Yes,
but you rarely attend.
yes.
I am there more often than you are.
Huh?
I am there more often than you are.
Okay.
And I wish that you would come to more meetings, because as a representative of the county commissioners, it feels important that you should be there.
Okay.
And I respect you, because one of the things you did here a few months back was, when Barry Herring was here and was talking about this issue, you sat right here in a public meeting and you admitted, when you were running for commissioner,
Right.
you used the wrong numbers. To me, I can respect that.
What number?
The numbers on property tax and how much the venue could be sold for and things like that.
Correct. Whether they were wrong numbers or not is debatable.
Okay?
What
Used
numbers are you talking
incorrect-
about?
I don't know, you said you had used incorrect numbers and had probably got yourself, so you would not get elected.
I'm not worried about getting elected one way or another,
Yeah.
okay? Where I used probably incorrect numbers
Okay.
is I was going at thinking $12.5 million
Okay.
is what we invested in it, okay? And I had come to learn afterwards that I was using like 10% to 20% on a commercial real estate deal. If you was to sell it, you should be able to make at least 10, if not 20%, okay? What we created here is different. I get that. It's a different deal. But still yet, you know, you want to talk numbers, we can talk a long time. But at 5% profit on a deal, here's a number that's going to stagger you a little bit. The year that they only dispersed 80,000 at 5 times, okay, was that $400,000? That the venue may only be worth $400,000? That's where I said it's never been tested on the market, okay? It would have took 2 commissioners, 4 county council members to put that forward. And there's a lot to be debated here. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But as far as that, I was judging that on a commercial deal. And technically, I don't think it falls under that, because it was, you know, to create income in the county for the businesses and, you know, things like that. It's complicated. I get that. A $12.5 million deal is complicated.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, I appreciate it.
I don't know if I clarified it for you or not.
Well, you sort of did, but I would appreciate if you start coming to more meetings, if you could, please.
Yeah, I have been received very well, and when I get my turn to speak, I will address that the best I can.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Aaron Berg, County Council, and also on the Maple Leaf Management Group of the Music Center.
Mr. President from the County Council.
About the 2.7, I know that keeps coming out as, you know, that's a that's a cost to the taxpayers. As was pointed out, that was a group, it was a sum of money that the federal government had laid out for shuttered venues. We were one of them. We didn't fail. We were shut down by the worldwide policy of shutting things down because of COVID. That's why the shuttered venues grant was available. We applied for it because that money was there. There were 2 rounds that we applied for. The first round we applied for, but we felt was a reasonable amount to apply for. We got every bit of that through the grant process. Then they came back to us and said, we have more money. We did not distribute all of this money. So is the money going back? No, this money is going to be distributed. If you don't apply for it, it's going somewhere else. So it would have been irresponsible for us to not apply for a second round of money when that money is going to, it's going to go to the Kennedy Center in DC if we didn't apply for it. And the Kennedy Center got $100 million, more than $100 million. If we did not apply for the second round, it wasn't going to come to us and we were going to miss out. So that's why it's not something we went and said, hey, federal government, give us money. They came to us and said, this money is available for shuttered venues like yours, apply for it. Again, after we got approved for the first round, they came back to us and said, there's more money. It has to be spent. If you don't apply for it, it's going somewhere else. So.
Darren, my point is risk. It's risk. If we have an economic downturn within the next year or two, where's that money going to come from? Okay, that's my point.
It's a self-sustaining venue at this point.
At this point, but we don't have an economic downturn.
From the start,
like
it's going to be self-sustaining venue.
We're going to have.
Except for when it was shut down.
So you got
by a global
2.7 million.
pandemic that shut everything down.
I
It
got
shut
it,
the
but it's-
it shut Brown County down. Brown County government got federal money.
Darren, the point is,
Everybody got federal money that was shut down.
we had an
Brown
economic.
County government also got
Would you
federal
agree we
money.
had an economic downturn?
We had
as
a
a result of
global
COVID?
pandemic that shut the world down for the first time ever.
Economic downturn,
Unnecessarily.
and that's a risk to the taxpayers. If it
It
happens
was not,
again,
it turns out it was not necessary to shut the world down.
well, it happens again, I don't want to assume we're going to have another 2 or 3 million available that we can get from the government.
Right. I don't
So the
assume- I
risk
don't
is
assume
it's
we
on
can
to the
get-
taxpayers, then what's the plan from the county to plan for that? Do we need to plan for that kind of risk? That's the point, it's
No,
risk.
all the buckets.
And who's got the risk?
All the secondary buckets of the music center to cover those kind of expenses are full and accounted for.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Close off the public comments, bring it back up to the order. Again, guys, the point is, it starts a discussion on, and providing citizens with a voice on how they want that to be distributed. So, comments?
I'll probably come back in and out and comment. I have a question. Not putting you on the spot, you don't have to give me the answer right now, but the money we received from, in lieu of property taxes and excess revenue from the music center, that goes into the general, correct? Is there any reason why we can't use that money for public safety, grant money for bridges and stuff like that? Do you know?
Don't believe so.
Okay, so we do have money coming in for that. We feel that there's probably going to be a lot more we're going to need for the bridges and stuff. That was the one question I wanted to ask first. And like I said, I will come back in a couple times before this is probably done. I want to hear what you two have to say.
Good.
So the challenge that I communicate is that we are always faced with revenues. And I understand your frustration, Pam, with regards to government and it being inefficient and there being all kinds of opportunities. So we always operate to do the best that we can. So I am of my opinion right now that the Board of Commissioners here, with a few exceptions, is trying to do a much better job. There's things that have come forth in this year and last that have not been present as far as reviews. So I'll take it on myself to speak for myself, and won't speak for the entire board on most of it, but I mean, I do a great deal of effort in trying to make sure that every penny is accounted for that I see. So is it always wisely spent? No, because I know the reality of it is that there's no perfect solution, there's only compromise. And unfortunately, the compromise is not necessarily always an ideal. It has to reach something. With this, my comment would be is I'm hesitant to go forward with taking any action other than having more discussions on it at this point. Because again, there are valid points that are made from the audience members, and there are questions that I have myself, because one of the things I am concerned about in this particular county is funds for infrastructure. And I know that the challenge that we're facing in the county and serving in the superintendent's job with a few hours a day or a week trying to understand what it is, there is legitimate concerns about bridges in this county. How we get there, I don't know. Discussions I'm going to also go back before the council with and put a plan together and work with whomever our new superintendent is to defining here's what we've got to spend over the next 3 years at least to start. And the same is true with regards to the buildings that we have around here. Most of what we've been doing at this point has been firefighting. And I will tell you, as a commissioner on this board, I spend all my time firefighting. And when you spend all your time firefighting, it's hard to put a strategic plan together. So the other comment that I will make as far as with the council in and of itself, I believe that we can work with the council to work towards solutions to get these things fixed. I've seen that happening. So you don't see the operation day in and day out behind closed doors, as far as, not in a negative sense, but the sense of it's not always generally open to the public to say meetings with the council, meetings with commissioners, meeting with the sheriff's department. And again, Brad made the other issue with regards to what are my numbers in there. And I think the other thing that's going to be mentioned in this meeting here is we've got a shocker with regards to public safety that supports saying we've got a first meeting that we just had with the IU ambulance contract, and it's not favorable at this point. So challenges set aside, I lean towards giving this time rather than rushing forward and making any decision at this point. That's what I'm at.
The scope of the resolution is to have discussions, is have more public meetings and more discussions. That's it. That's the vote. We want to have more public meetings on this particular issue to give the voters or the citizens an opportunity to comment, in addition to having the discussion with the different parties of that. That's it. It's talking, more meetings. That's the scope of the resolution.
So that's what I say. Ron, comment?
I figure I'd let Mr. Clark go.
Okay.
Pardon me?
You have anything to add?
No.
Okay. Well, let me go back to the board. The few meetings that I have attended, I was very well received, very polite, actually started negotiating with them. There were some issues that we thought was going to be more money, and they needed the monies to start the wetland project. It's the way it is, you know. And then the 200,000 got reduced to 175,000, and made a motion to raise it back to 200. I was told they'd entertain a motion at 187.5. And that motion passed, okay? They're actually wanting to work. I've been told by one of the board members, they understand that they probably need to do something, and they did do something. Of course, we'd like to have all the money. I mean, government, whether it's county or federal, seems to spend more money than they got. But anyway, I'm not really in favor of using a sledgehammer on this. Do I believe that through legal and years and courts and everything that we could come out on top? Probably. But do we really want to go that route? I would rather try and do a little more diplomatical solution and work with the board. You know, the money that they give us, if you look at it, if we could get it to where it averages, 100,000 plus a year to us, 10 years, that's $1 million, 20 is 2 million, you get there. And another thing that kind of had is once it's paid for, once the bank gets paid, does that not revert to the county? Or does it stay in the hands of the Maple Leaf Management as far as the 3-member board? Is it not kind of like the jail?
Yes, it is.
Okay, once that is paid for, will it not revert to the county and then the county own it?
Yes.
Okay, so there's some finesse to doing that, all right? And Kevin, Barry, Mr. Schultz left, Darren is educating me on some of this. When we got to the point, when the negotiation part, okay, when I first went up there, I heard 400,000. So we went up there with intent that I was gonna get for the county, not me, I was gonna get for the county 200,000 plus 55,000 in lieu of property tax. That's $250,000. Well, we walked away at the end with a tick over 100,000. That got a little dicey on the math, okay? The 50% of 187.5, that when we renegotiated that at the extra 12.5, I believe brought in a tick under $4,000. And I've heard someone say that's drops in the bucket for the county. It is, but the fact that they're willing to work and the fact that they're admitting that they probably need to do something, yeah, we got issues with public safety. We got issues with bridges. We got issues with roads. It's almost a golden goose. I don't want to kill the golden goose. But I think we could take that money through legal action. But how many years and how many hundreds of thousands of dollars would both sides have to spend fighting it? I think we'd be better off to do a little more diplomatical move with it.
Well, I guess my response is, what we're asking is really, we're starting the negotiations that you just referred to, discussions and negotiations. That's what this process does. It goes on record. Typically on these resolutions, as you know, we table it on the first meeting, then we open it up for future meetings.
Okay.
And a vote on the 15th, we're to vote. The only vote is to start the discussions and negotiations and allow more public input. And that could be included in every meeting. I don't know how the election goes, if people even care. But at least it gives an opportunity for people that may not have had input or may not know what's going on with all this, an opportunity to say something, to voice their opinion.
Well, Mr. Clark, would you entertain a motion?
Kevin, any? Okay, sure.
I'll entertain, you've entertained it. I'll make a motion to table it. And I'd be real reluctant if come the 15th, we have all the answers we need.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Roll call.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Can I ask a question to Mr. Alton in the audience, please?
Sure.
When's the next board meeting?
Do what?
When is the next Brown County Music
We
Center?
meet on the 4th Tuesday of every month, so April something, I can tell you in just a second.
So that would be after the next commissioner meeting. It's usually like 20-something.
Yeah, we meet on the 28th this month at 2:30, and it'll be at the Seasons Lodge in the Event Center.
Okay. Well, I'll come up here so y'all can beat on me a little bit.
You know that's not true.
No, I know it's not. Like I said, you guys have been very receptive. Like when I first come in, I asked for 100%. I asked for it, okay? And then I got to know yous, got educated a little bit better on it. I've had a few more years up here. And you guys are stand-up citizens, you represent good people in the county, so we'll see if we can't come to some kind of agreement. Does that work for you all?
Sounds good.
I'm not saying no.
All right. Next, and John, I've talked to you on account of the number of times I've seen you present on this issue. I don't count as many as you do. But anyway.
Well, I don't mean just commissioners.
Oh, okay.
Council too.
I got it. Because I know it wasn't that many on the commissioners over the past year, maybe 2 or 3, if that, 2. So anyway, all right, next.
Talk about it, I can pull files.
Yeah, me too. So next item, Kim, you want to talk about the Salt Creek Trail later?
Well, let's have some happy news. Woohoo!
Happy to good.
Happy. I'm just here to ask for their support for, what are we doing, Sandy? To get limited access right away for NDOT so that we get a justification letter so we can move forward with this project and secure Salt Creek Trail and get it done. It's been 35 years. Well, not really, but it feels like it. We're all gonna be walkers next time we get it connected.
Well, Kim, for the update, the last meeting I went to, or the current status is we funded the engineering study to NDOT to run along 46.
Correct.
To use the right of way, so there's no adverse land acquisitions, blah, blah, blah. It's just the right of way that NDOT may have.
Right, so we have to write a justification letter.
Yeah, and then the path across the creek was going to be adjacent to the current bridge, which they thought, would not be a problem with permitting. Unlike if you had a bridge and another part on the trail, that would create a whole mess of bureaucracy and additional costs. So the idea is is use the NDOT right-of-way to go from the Music Center area to the Red Barn.
From the Y Trailhead, the Music Center parking lot down Maple Leaf on 46.
Okay, and so then the funds, guys, on the county, there's no county money coming into this. It's going to be.
We have some funds to pay for the engineering and the pass-through at the foundation.
Okay, and then any money we're going to need to finish up once it's approved by NDOT, then the process starts to acquire the funds to finish the trail.
Right, correct.
Okay, so I guess my question to you guys is I can do a letter on behalf of the president of the board of commissioners, or we can have a letter that all 3 of us sign.
So okay, I got 3 questions.
Okay.
3 questions, yeah.
Please, will you repeat the route, because I heard Maple Leaf along.
You heard the trailhead at the Y, so we want to make a sidewalk.
Okay.
Right, along the grass there behind the nursing home and the Maple Leaf, the Music Center parking lot.
Okay.
Run out to Maple Leaf Boulevard, which side of the road, we don't know yet. Sidewalk, so it's not as wide as the trail, up to 46. They will cross over the Wise IU Health property along the highway.
Okay.
And then we'll go over the bridge. We'll build a new bridge in the footprint of the current bridge. It won't cause any flooding either way. And then enter right there at Parkview, and there at Parkview.
Okay. The other question I have is and again, I haven't kept up with this particular group. It's a monthly meeting now, is that right? Kim, or as needed?
As needed, ad hoc.
Typically, is it scheduled as needed as well, or is
Yeah.
there a target date?
As needed.
Can you because I had a citizen that is the property owner at the Jamboree there, ask about being able to
We
participate.
even had conversations with him. He's been to the meeting, property owners along the way. We have had everyone at a meeting, all property owners.
Okay, great.
And that's how we came to the term that we cannot go across the farmland.
And I guess I'm on the line, I have 2 questions. So I know that there are funds that are available that were pass-throughs from remainders of what was with Salt Creek Trail. That intent is to basically try and move forward with.
Right, let's get our engineer, we have to get the engineering studies, and that's how that is being funded.
Do you know off the top of your head what the dollar sum is on that?
Like 85,000 left, maybe?
Yeah.
Just under 100, we've already spent some, so.
Okay.
Right about, is that about Sandy? Sandy knows.
And so.
She and I are we sign off on those invoices.
Okay. And then I guess the last thing for the letter is, it's a letter of support to allow you to go forward with NDOT and seek their funding activities.
No, it's to get the justification that it can be done there, correct?
That we could access the limited right-of-way.
Oh.
Along the highway.
Through
This
there,
is step 1 of 50.
Yeah, so we could be back for
Thank
more
you.
letters of support.
because we are so limited to what the access is.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I've got a boilerplate for letter, I just need to know I can sign it, or all 3 of us can sign it, so however you want it to be phrased, then your call.
Yes, sir. Is that gonna cost you anything, Ron?
Well, you know.
I want to hear that.
But you already said that it was in public right of way. It's got nothing to do with no eminent domain or anything.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. And something else I've noticed is, now I get the safety issue. Okay, I get that.
Mhm.
But there's already people using access on the road to do it.
Oh, yeah, I pass that guy at 5:30 every morning. Solid
In shorts
black. I want
with
to throw
snow?
him I'm gonna get some safety vests in my car and toss it to him because I can't see him.
Yeah, I know, I've seen them out there walking and bicycling,
Yeah.
walking on foot,
Yeah.
yeah. It's being used, the safety is probably a good idea.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I heard a number threw out there one time at $4 million. Where would the $4 million be coming from? If that grant,
Yes.
at no cost to the county?
Si, senor.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm fine.
By
with
speaking a foreign language, does that count?
that. How many?
No, it shouldn't cost anything to the county. We don't want it to, right? The maintenance will be on on Parks and Rec.
That's fine.
Okay.
That will cost the county, but it's not the initial build.
Do you have a draft? Or do you have?
I've got a boilerplate.
Yeah, I gave a email the boilerplate.
Okay.
I just need to tailor it. All three of us want to sign it or just let the president?
Is this something you need right now?
First of the week, the latest.
We're
Right.
submitting the letter.
We're turning the letter April the 6th, so yes.
Okay. All right. I don't have us proceeding forward with asking NDOT to grant us access to the right of way. That's all I believe that's being asked for.
Correct.
So I'll make a motion that we move forward with generating a letter of support to request access to that right of way.
That's fine. I just would like to read the agreement.
I'll send it to you.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I'll amend my motion to say
Contingent.
upon review with a target of it being done before the 6th.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kid.
Thank you.
Need a vote.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No nays. 3 yeses there, Stacy.
Okay.
Legal review.
Wait. We got the parcel transfer.
That's what I was getting to, legal review. Second.
Sandy, is that you?
No, it's just basically an update. The transfer has happened. The town council signed off on the deed that we prepared for them. It has been officially transferred, and from my understanding, Mark Shields has already made arrangements to have the electricity reinstalled on that parcel so that it can go back to operation at the Salt Creek Trail.
That's fine.
When that is being done, I do not know, but I do know that it has been done. And thank you, Sandy, for your help.
Thanks, Kevin, for running that down. Department office reports, committee, let's look at the budget. Eric, you wanted to comment on the IT services contract?
Yeah. I'm going to be presenting over the next couple of weeks to both you guys and the council a variance in our annual budget that I wanted to take the opportunity to explain what's going on with that, because it is a significant variance. When you look at it in the overall scope of our county budget, it is a fairly minor line item, but within that line item, we're seeing such a jump in our annual cost. I think it's worth having a brief discussion in this forum so that you, as the stewards of the money and the taxpayers, can understand a little bit about what's going on here. This is a licensing deal with a company that had been called VMware that manages virtual server environments. We use it pretty extensively here, as do a lot of organizations of about our size. It allows you to have server resources far and above what you can typically cram into a small server room. VMware has been a very popular product in the industry for many years. Many people do their entire career only working in VMware environments. They were acquired by Broadcom back in 2023, and Broadcom has made sweeping changes to their pricing model, which is having a significant impact to organizations like us. To put this into perspective, our annual spend for this is going to increase by 241%. We are going to go from paying in the neighborhood of $5,000 to paying just shy of $18,000 without warning. Again, you put it in the scope, the context of our county budget, it's a small thing, but a 241% variance is worth taking a look at. In practical terms, this means that the county is facing a substantial and, in my professional opinion, disproportionate cost increase for the same core server infrastructure that we've been running for years. This is not something where our price is increasing because our needs are increasing. This price increase is being driven 100% by a vendor that has bought a product and they want to maximize their profits for it. To make that situation even more egregious, okay, when I came in here, I started this role in August. In September, I knew that we were going to have an issue with this year. I had read the reports of the big companies pushing back on the price increases that Broadcom had sent down the line. I contacted our sales rep to get a quote back in September, and he said that Broadcom would not authorize him to provide us pricing. And that continued on until January 20th. They would not get us pricing for what our annual renewal was going to be until after the first of the year. To make that point even more egregious, we got what our contract with them will need to be renewed mid-April. About 15 days after we finally got the price of what our renewal was, we got the first cease and desist letter from the attorneys saying if we do not pay this increased amount, we are going to have further legal engagement with them. 15 days from getting the price to getting an estimate from the attorneys. So again, I don't want to take a lot of time on that, but I think it's important that we all know what's going on, where this increase is being driven by, and you know, I'll take any questions that you might have on that.
You explained pretty well.
Sounds like they got you in the back room working you over.
Well, collectively, all of us, really.
Hey. And this is something you guys can do tomorrow in the work session with county council, because you need that money now, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a problem.
So explore it again. So perfect example of contracts. So what are they proposing for the renewal? Do you, they have in that proposal? Because I haven't seen it just yet.
Okay, yeah, I can forward you the proposal. It's $17,000 and change, where we had been paying $5,000 and change. It's essentially the same services. They've been restructured around. They do have a minimum spend that's based on the amount of core server CPUs that you're using.
And so is it your opinion right now, and you and I talked about this, and the question I think the audience needs to hear is, at this point, there's not an alternative that can be quickly implemented if we go down the path of wanting to disengage from VMware?
Sure. So the thing about that is the entire industry is being impacted by this. You know, large companies, AT&T, it's estimated that their increase for their virtualization with Broadcom is going to increase by over 1,000% for AT&T. So that kind of change in the industry is having the net effect of other competitors coming to market and whatnot. Okay. If we decide to move away from VMware, we need at least 6 months lead time, because that is going to be about a 6 to 8 month project where we basically have to recreate a mirrored virtual environment in whatever competing product we go to. But I'm definitely of the opinion now that we have to find a competing product and move to it. It is not worth spending the premium price for to keep the VMware product. Our needs are simple enough. There already are a couple alternatives we could move to, but again, it would take 6 to 8 months.
And so in the virtualization of this, meaning its resources, and there's ways of doing that, so it is not even practical for us to go down a solution of actually going back and buying our actual physical hardwares in order to accomplish what we're doing today with this application, correct?
Even with this price increase, if we went out and decided to get all physical hardware to recreate our virtual environment, I mean, casually, I would estimate that at being over $100,000.
Okay.
Kevin, I think you mentioned about the ambulance contract. We're looking at that one. That was kind of a surprise. We underutilize our 2 ambulances, and they're not break even on the profit. So one of the options, if we keep the 2 ambulance solutions that we have today, it's up to a $290,000 increase. And so the usage of the ambulance is going down. So we asked for more information, more data on the runs that they have, periods of time, and they promised to give us a chart on that. And we're looking at the other options. You can go less ambulances, an ambulance and a half. I mean, there's options, but I think people pretty much expect a 2 ambulance service. And so we'll go through the options and we'll discuss it when we get more data from IU, and we'll discuss it at a public meeting like we always do. So stay tuned. Highway Department on the superintendent status, we tend to make a decision at our April 15th meeting. That's that. And then the draft on the bridge inventory rating inspection report, we expect to have that, vote on that or approve that by April 15th as well. And I mentioned the impact, the estimated costs on the different bridges that we have on that one. So that's all I got on ongoing business kind of listed. Legal, anything, Stephanie?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You have one final thing, Jimmy.
I think you
Is it
skipped,
relevant to what we had?
I think you skipped legal services, the 2026 legal services, 25K.
Correct. So that is an estimate. So Teresa is going to go and pull another number together. That is an estimate at this time.
Okay.
And it has to do with the various personnel issues that we're having.
Actually, we did skip if anybody had anything else they wanted to say, and evidently they did. Anybody else? Going once, twice? Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned.